Listening and note-taking skills 10. If you read the note sheet of Part B carefully, the main points of topics in the instruction sheet task can sometimes be found in the note sheet layout. 有時我哋可以喺筆記紙嘅排位裏邊揾出指示任務嘅要點。Sometimes in the note-taking of Part B, you are asked to include details of certain activities for the long tasks. You can find such a heading about the details of the activities when you read the note sheet. Now, listen to the audio of HKCEE 2005, English Paper 2, Part B.
Part B. Situation. You are Hilary Fan, the chairperson of the English Club at Northfield Secondary School. You are currently organising an English Reading Week. A recent survey has shown that students do not like reading in English for pleasure. Because of this, you would like to promote reading in English at your school. You have 3 tasks to do to prepare for the English Reading Week. Complete a poster advertising a tour of the library. Complete an email to an author about a talk he is going to give. Write an article for the school newspaper promoting reading and the English Reading Week. You are now having a meeting with Mrs. Martinez, one of the school's English teachers, to finalize the details of the English Reading Week. Before you listen, you will have 5 minutes to study the question-answer book and the data file to familiarize yourself with the situation and the tasks. You should also look at the note sheet on page 6 of the data file, where you will take notes as you listen to the conversation. Now turn to page 6 of the data file and take notes on the note sheet as you listen to the conversation between Hilary and Mrs. Martinez.
Thanks for helping me with the organization of the English Reading Week, Mrs. Martinez.
That's okay, Hilary. I'm happy to help.
Well, I've printed off the first draft of the English Reading Week schedule for you. Here it is. As you can see, it runs over 1 week.
What are the dates?
It'll run from the 12th to the 17th of September, Monday to Saturday.
Okay. I see from the schedule you're going to have a tour of the library. That's an interesting idea, but we need to tell people about it. Why don't you design a poster to advertise this tour?
That's a good suggestion. I'll do that.
Now, I see there are no times on the schedule. What time do you want this tour of the library to start?
Well, I think most students finish classes by 3:30. Do you think 4 o'clock is a good time?
Well, 4 o'clock sounds fine to me. 4:30 is probably too late. Will you get the students to meet in the library?
Well, I was talking about this with Miss Ho, the librarian, and she said that she'd be happy to help, but she'd like the least amount of noise possible. So she suggested meeting in one of the classrooms first, and then going down to the library.
Classroom 102's near the library. That would be a good place to meet. Would you like me to book it for you?
That would be great. Thanks.
Okay. I'll book classroom 102 then. Now, what are you going to do on the tour? You must give this information on the poster to attract people to come.
Well, we are going to do 4 things. The first thing is the librarian will give a talk.
The librarian will give a talk. That's a good idea. Students need to know more about the library. And after that?
Well, the second thing we're going to do is to have an information treasure hunt.
Oh, that sounds interesting. What exactly is an information treasure hunt?
Well, it's a game where students have to find information using the resources in the library as quickly as possible. The winner gets a prize.
Ooh, so the treasure is information, not gold.
Yeah, that's right.
Sounds like a lot of fun. What else have you got?
Well, the third thing we've got planned is an information technology workshop. An IT workshop, you know?
An IT workshop? That's a great idea. I must say that I don't know what IT facilities we have, so a workshop will be really useful. I might come along to that, actually. And what about the last activity?
Lastly, we're going to introduce 4 new books. They arrived at the library last week. They're all written in English, and they all look really interesting. In fact, I could advertise them in the poster. Do you think that's a good idea?
Yeah, that would be good.
What about the number of activities? Do you think that having 4 activities is a bit too much?
No, I think that should be okay.
Good. Now, do you have any ideas for the title of the poster?
The title of the poster. How about just a simple title, like Discover the Library?
Discover the library. Yes, I like it. Is there anything that we've forgotten?
Oh, yes. Why don't you put your name down as the contact person? I think you should also put down your email address. in case people have questions they want to ask.
Okay, I'll do that. Is there anything else?
I think we should ask students to register for the library tour beforehand, so we don't get too many of them all turning up. It'll be difficult for Miss Ho if too many students show up, you know.
I agree. Let's set a deadline then for students to sign up first. What date shall we say?
Well, let's see. I think a few days before the tour should be good enough. How about early September, say the 5th?
Okay, I'll put it in the poster that students have to sign up on or before the 5th of September then.
Okay. Now what next? In the schedule, I can see something about an author coming to give a talk. Who will that be?
I haven't decided yet. Miss Ho actually knows a lot of authors in Hong Kong, but I don't know who to ask. Do you have any ideas?
Well, in a recent survey on reading habits, we found that most students like reading crime novels rather than romance, humor, or adventure. I have the survey results somewhere here. Just let me look for it. Ah, here it is. Yes, 50% of the students like reading crime. You should definitely invite someone who writes crime novels.
I agree. I think that one of the 4 new books in the library is a crime novel, and Miss Ho knows the author. I'm sure she can ask him to come and talk to us. Hopefully, a lot of students will come to listen to him. We'll need to book the school hall for so many people. Will you do that for me, Mrs. Martinez?
The hall? Sure. What time for?
I think 5 o'clock would be a good time. Although it's a bit late, it'll mean that everyone should be able to come. What do you think we should ask the writer to talk about when he's here?
If it's at 5 o'clock, he won't have much time to talk. How about asking him to just talk about 3 things? First of all, you could ask him to talk about how he became a writer.
Ah, yes. That would be really interesting to find out how he became a writer. A good idea for the second thing would be to get him to talk about how he writes a novel. It must be so difficult to do. I'd love to learn how to write a novel.
Yes, it would be interesting to find out how he writes a novel. It must be such a long process. And you could also ask him to give some advice for young writers.
Yeah, I'm a young writer. I'd love to get some advice from him. Okay, is that all we need to do? I am still worried that no one will come.
Well, you have to encourage them. I see on the schedule you're going to have a reading prize. What's that about?
Well, I know people like a good competition. The prize will be for the student who reads the most books before Christmas.
Sounds good. But how will you know which student reads the most books before Christmas?
We'll keep records in the library.
All right. What's the prize going to be?
I've talked to the principal about this, and she's offered to give the winner a $500 gift certificate.
A $500 gift certificate? That's great. Okay. I think we've finished everything we need to discuss.
Yep, I think so.
Sounds like it's going to be a really interesting week.
That's the end of the listening component of this test.
Since you read the instruction of task 2 and the data file, page 2, you can notice that the section heading of the notesheet, information for the email to the author about the talk he's going to give, related to task 2. Now, listen to the audio again and complete the following part of the notesheet.
Recent survey on reading habits, we found that most students like reading crime novels rather than romance, humor, or adventure. I have the survey results somewhere here. Just let me look for it. Here it is. Yes, 50% of the students like reading crime. You should definitely invite someone who writes crime novels.
I agree. I think that one of the 4 new books in the library is a crime novel, and Miss Ho knows the author. I'm sure she can ask him to come and talk to us. Hopefully, a lot of students will come to listen to him. We'll need to book the school hall for so many people. Will you do that for me, Mrs. Martinez?
The hall? Sure. What time for?
I think 5 o'clock would be a good time. Although it's a bit late, it'll mean that everyone should be able to come. What do you think we should ask the writer to talk about when he's here?
If it's at 5 o'clock, he won't have much time to talk. How about asking him to just talk about 3 things? First of all, you could ask him to talk about how he became a writer.
Yes. That would be really interesting to find out how he became a writer. A good idea for the second thing would be to get him to talk about how he writes a novel. It must be so difficult to do. I'd love to learn how to write a novel.
Yes, it would be interesting to find out how he writes a novel. It must be such a long process. And you could also ask him to give some advice for young writers.
Yeah, I'm a young writer. I'd love to get some advice from him. Okay, is that all we need to do?
Task 2. Look at the note from the school librarian on page 1 of the data file. Complete the email to the author about the talk he is going to give during the English Reading Week. You will need to use information from your notes and page 2 of the data file. Here is the suggested answer for task 2. Now, do the exercise to test yourself. Bye.